Work ethic sounds like slavery to me. It is. It is. But you know what? In a weird way, learning a 9 to 5 work ethic can also be a sufficient way to produce an individual drive in someone to avoid a 9 to 5 work ethic. I don't know if I would have the same, and I know people make fun of my work ethic or whatever, that's fine. Phases in life come and go. I don't know that I could pull off the Johnny Depp trial where I was willing to work 16-hour days, 4 days a week, with an additional 10-hour day somewhere else in the week for 6 weeks straight without realizing how much I wanted to avoid a 9 to 5 job in general, knowing that burst of serious effort would pay dividends that would allow me to persist in doing my job at 11 p.m., working till 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., depending on what I want to do, and then living the rest of my life outside of the confines of a brick and mortar office building with some middle manager telling me that I'm not doing my job right while not being able to describe what I'm supposed to do. Having done that for years and years and years in various corporate environments, I can tell you my desire to get away from that was immense. When I worked at Wells Fargo in the bank, once a month we would do call days where the bank closed at 5 and we would have to stay till 7 or 8 just calling off of a list. And they're like, these aren't cold calls, because Wells Fargo doesn't do cold calls. They would do warm calls because someone somewhere clicked on a thing that said they wanted more interest about like a home equity loan. That was a warm call, and you'd have to call some person during dinner at home, and your boss would make you call for 3 hours. When I did that, when the last call day I had, and I was not quitting yet, not put in 2 weeks or anything. I was still planning on working there forever. I just brought in Atlas Shrugged and I set it on my desk and I opened it up and I took my handset off of the base and I started reading it. My boss came by and she says, what are you doing? I said, not what you asked me to. Well, you're not going to make phone calls? And I said, no. Why? Like, because this is the most fruitless and pointless activity of all time. She's like, oh no, these are warm calls. I said, you make them. She goes, well, I'm not going to make calls. So why not? Well, I'm a manager. I'm here to make sure you guys make calls. I'm like, but you're better at it. So why don't you do it? Well, I have to go. I said, oh, so I have to stay, but you're leaving? I thought you're supposed to be here to make sure I make phone calls. She's like, well, there are cameras on you guys and we'll make sure you're doing it. And I said, not me. I'm reading a book. Peace. She left and I just read Atlas Shrugged for 2 hours and then I went home. It was a complete waste of time. All I wanted in the world was to go home to Lady Rackets. We didn't have a kid yet. It was like, we were trying. I don't know if at that particular time, specifically we were trying or whatever, but it was like, I have something to do. I have a wife at home. I want to go home and hang out with her. I don't want to sit here and call people. But that's was the whole thing. Even though they told me over and over that my job was not a sales job, it was not a high pressure environment, it was bullshit. I think having kids work in a normal environments are good for them, teach them either how to navigate those and social situations around them, but also teach them that they may not want to do it. But I'm not gonna force my kid to arbitrarily make a couple dollars an hour to do something. I would rather them enrich themselves in some way and learn the value of independent work, even if that independent work is working for me. I don't have any normative adherence to some, we'll call it an antiquated notion of requiring some gate to be passed as a rite or a ritual. I want my kids to work because I don't want them to do nothing. But I don't need them to work in a particular way. I need them to work in a way that will make them better.